I'm Alec Baldwin, and you're listening to Marketing Trends and the Leads Art Week.
Anantha Narasimhan is the Program Director of Global Marketing for Unified Governance and Integration at IBM. Throughout his career in sales, analytics, and marketing at leading technology companies, he has learned the importance of horizontal and vertical alignment for success and the power of friendly competition. On this episode, Ananth describes his journey into marketing and the keys to his success at IBM so far. He discusses the importance of team building and generating momentum to achieve big wins. Enjoy this episode.
Marketing Trends is created by the team at Mission.org and sponsored by Salesforce Pardot, B2B marketing automation on the world's #1 CRM. Are you ready to take your B2B marketing to new heights? With Pardot, marketers can find and nurture leads, close more deals, and maximize ROI. Learn more by visiting pardot.com/podcast or click the link in the show notes.
Here is your host, Ian Faison.
Welcome to Marketing Trends. I'm Ian Faison, Chief Content Officer here at Mission.org. And to the right of me, in the fishbowl at Serious Decisions, in our little podcast studio, here amongst the thousands of marketers, is Lauren Vaccarello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great.
I love being in this little fishbowl at Serious Decisions. It is so much fun to watch all of these B2B marketers running around, learning everything that's new and innovative that's happening in marketing. And it's kind of fun to be in the fishbowl.
And one of those innovative marketers, Ananth, how's it going?
It's going great. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on the show. We're going to talk all about alignment and what that means. You know, we talk a lot about sales and marketing alignment on the podcast, but it's something that we're all, as marketers trying to get closer on and achieve business results. So we'll get into all that. But first, how'd you get into marketing?
How I got into marketing actually was after I was in sales. I was in field sales.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I loved talking to people, solving problems one at a time. I really wanted to do that at scale.
Yeah.
And my route to marketing was a little circuitous. I did some other functions, including BI and analytics, and then came into campaigns and marketing strategy, and now driving integrated marketing team that includes portfolio, product marketing, content, campaigns, and so on and so forth.
That's such a great background. And honestly, I feel like some of the best marketers have that bit of sales, because you get that. I mean, you really get the empathy for the seller when you've had to sit in that seat.
Absolutely.
A little bit of sales, a little bit of analytics, kind of a perfect place to be.
100%. You get the customer facing, the sales piece, and then it's, oh, by the way, thank you all of your sellers for all of your opinions. Here's all of the numbers.
And that's right. Especially when you're in a B2B setting, and especially when you're selling to large organizations where it is very dependent on sales, and marketing is a support, enablement, and also in some cases, driving the conversation. It is very helpful to know the mind of a seller, and therefore to be able to tailor the conversation, the messaging, not just to the customer, but also to the internal customer, which is a seller, because a lot of it is being done by that person.
Absolutely.
And so you've worked at some pretty big companies in Dell, CA Technologies, now IBM. Tell us a little bit about your current role at IBM.
Yeah, it's a global marketing role. It's a fantastic integrated marketing role. Have product portfolio, campaign management, content marketing, digital strategy, and then dotted lined channel marketing, events, social, and so on and so forth. It's a full scope in the context that it allows me to be completely aligned with our sales goals, because we have a sales leader, and then we have product management leader or leaders. And then we also, incidentally, are aligned with our dev team as well. So the four of us, like sales, marketing, product management, and dev, it's we tango along, and it's such a beautiful thing to do, because it just makes things so clear, because you're all aligned to one business objective, that total business objective, total revenue, today and tomorrow.
No, I love that. And I love that we don't talk about this enough, having product management at the table with sort of sales and marketing, because fundamentally, if you don't have a good product and the product isn't being sort of built in a way that which is what customers want, it just makes everything a lot harder. And to get that direct feedback loop to the product org, and also the product org giving that direct feedback loop to sales and to marketing is really, really amazing.
Absolutely. And even our dev team actually have real direct connections with customers where they go and solve some really complex problems. And their perspectives are so useful as well, right? So, as we build messaging together, we get inputs from a lot of these people to build that messaging that resonates with the market. And also internally, firstly, it should resonate internally with us that, oh, yes, it is, we are giving the right message. And then, of course, it needs to resonate externally.
I saw something at a company recently that I thought was really interesting, and it was making sure the product management team and at an extension, the dev team, to understand, okay, you're building this new product. How much revenue is coming from the new product that you're building, and actually really aligning them not just to product usage, but also to how much money are we making off of the product? And I remember getting a lot of product managers kind of excited of, wait a second, what I just built, this is going to drive how many millions of dollars? Because they never thought about that. That just wasn't the mindset of the product management and the dev team. And they really loved getting that input and that insight.
In our case, it's actually very different. Those guys think about it all the time because you don't get past the cycle of getting things into dev without that forecast of how much you would actually sell. So, there's only a finite amount of time that people have bandwidth and so on, right? So you need to be able to invest people's time in the right areas.
Absolutely.
So it's a question of now, can we actually make it?
So what products do you oversee? What's the portfolio?
Yeah, our portfolio falls under IBM Cloud. Under that, we are under data and AI, all things related to data, to enable organizations or customers and prospects, as the case may be, to get onto the AI ladder. That's what we kind of talk about it in the context of how can we help our customers leverage artificial intelligence or augmented intelligence, as the case may be, to drive their transformations at scale. So as part of that, from a data perspective, you need to collect data, you need to organize that data, so you can analyze the data. And then, when you start building models, you infuse those models into your applications and so on, so that you can drive things at scale. We are part of that organized rung of the ladder, where once you have all of the data, how do you get it all together, ensure that the data is of good quality, have governance so that it's got all the correct policies in place. You give access to the right people, personalization access is taken into consideration, and so on and so forth. And then you build a single view of the data or source of truth, and people leverage that from there on. We are kind of pivoting to data ops world, where it's data operations, DevOps kind of coming together, where you can leverage your data with agility and at scale, and we provide that business-ready data platform for them.
And so who are the type of folks that are buying this? Is it like CIOs, CTOs? Is it
CDOs, enterprise architects, CIOs, in many cases even LOB execs, because much of the decisions are now starting to come from the lines of business and getting implemented through IT. Then for regulations and privacy areas, it'll be chief compliance officers, risk officers, and so on and so forth.
So it's a pretty robust buying group, right? It's you're not talking about decisions that are made, lightly. I guess no decisions are made lightly. Some decisions are made lightly. I chose brisket over the brine chicken today for lunch at Serious Decisions. So
it's very close, that decision point.
Very, very. I'm agonizing over a shoe decision right now. So
see, there you go. But no, it's kind of what I was getting at there is when you're blending specifically like with governance and like compliance and all these things, like you're tying and digital transformation and how loaded of just a topic that is, right? You're talking about so many types of buyers that you really have to align in order to reach the right people at the right time.
100% right. Think about your shoe decision. Like, let's say if you have 4 more people telling you what kind of shoes to buy, how long was that going to take you?
Oh, absolutely. And right now it's, do I really want this? Do I really need this? And it's a couple $100.
That's right.
And it's all in my head versus how many decision makers you're selling to. And to Ian's point, digital transformation is what everyone is talking about right now. But who is it? What does it mean? Who's the buyer? the compliance angle, the chief digital officer angle, it's massive from a persona base, from what you're selling, which I'm sure makes it super easy as a marketing leader.
That's absolutely right.
Well, and then the titles change. I mean, this is just, another kind of important distinction for our listeners who might be marketing to folks that have one type of title. I mean, I host IT Visionaries, one of our other podcasts, as part of Mission, and the whole title of CIO or CDO or CTO for each organization is completely different. The scope of responsibilities is completely different. I mean, for most CMOs, it's more or less pretty similar. I mean, there's a lot of differences within that, but marketing, you're in charge of marketing.
You're in charge of marketing, and then maybe there's a nuance around where does growth go?
Yeah.
But that's the main nuance. You're not going to have.
Well, there are still lots of complexities, but you're
Yes.
right. In the space of where we are operating in, you have a lot of chief data officers now starting to become more and more prevalent within organizations. But it's not just those people, right? It could be anybody. And if you go to, depending on the size of the organization, it could be one person wearing several hats, actually driving multiple of these projects.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it comes all the way from the CEO, sometimes the COO, because they say that it's part of their digital transformation activities or business transformation. And how does IT follow through to support those kind of initiatives? And therefore, back to that point of being aligned, it's really critical for us to be in touch with what our sales goals are, how our salespeople are going to market, who are they talking to, and how do we enable them either both internally and give them air cover externally to have that similar conversation going, right? Now, all of us know this. We've done this before. When you are going alone, you can go really fast. But if you want to go far, you got to go together.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't come up with this. I read this somewhere, but it resonates with me really well.
Oh, I'm going to credit this to you from now on forever.
Yeah, it's the sled dog analogy, right? It's like to do the Iditarod, right? It's like, I think that's what's called Iditarod. You have a team of dogs that, I don't know why we're dogs in this scenario, but marketers are dogs. Where are my dogs at? So, but yeah, no, it's, like though if, one dog can run far, but it takes a team to get the distance.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. And then what happens is the conversation starts to become more about what is right, what is of priority, rather than who is right. So you remove the politics out of this whole thing and ensure that, you're aligned to that single goal. A simple example, right? Let's look at a business where the total business is red. All right. But marketing goals, we are green. What does that mean? Does it mean that marketing is awesome and sales is not? No. If the total business is red, we're all red. Period.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's, first of all, a great way to anger your sales team is to say, look how great we're doing when sales is missing their number. And we had this great interview with Sam Melnick from Allocadia, where we talk so much about this of marketing's job is business growth. It is not marketing pipeline. It's not marketing source revenue, marketing source pipeline. It is how do we drive business growth? And if you drive business growth by enabling the sales team to better close the deals that they source themselves, fantastic. The business grows. And we need to think about, to your point, what do we do so the business is green? Not just so marketing is green.
That's absolutely right. And we look at ourselves as business people doing marketing function. Now, salespeople are business people doing sales function, likewise with product and likewise with them. And I'm very lucky to have partners in crime, leaders who think the same way. And so we all have our goals, right? My goal is marketing source pipeline and marketing source wins. But I submit that goal to the larger goal of that total business revenue. And I know that my counterparts or the leaders that I work with, the leaders of product management, dev, sales, everybody subject their individual goals to the larger goal.
And so how do you do that? I mean, how does that work? Like, we talk about, share and ban or whatever it is. Like, what does that look like at IBM?
It needs to be completely aligned, right? In the sense, like, it's not just the leaders coming together and being completely aligned. It's also the entire team being completely aligned. So, an example, product marketer in my team, they are on weekly calls with the product management people and sales people. In some cases, dev people as well. So they know the pulse of where we are, what is going on, where the pipeline, what the pipeline status is, where we are gapped at 1-2 quarters from now, and we've also kind of helped our sales teams and other people, kind of educated them on what the marketing influence is and where we can influence. If it's going to be in quarter, they know that marketing cannot help. Maybe a little bit here and there by giving them the right assets at the right time and so on and so forth. But we are really 2 quarters out, 2 to 4 quarters, right?
Yep.
And therefore, that's the kind of outlook that we have, and that's how we kind of work on. It's also the expectation setting on, where can marketing help? And it's also these daily or weekly dialogues that we have. The implication of that is that, all of these things come together, and then we look at it from a priority perspective. What do we want to kind of drive? In 2019, we sat down together and said, okay, these are the 3 key offerings that we want to be driving all these conversations towards, right? And how do we do that? We elevate that into a solution level messaging, and then one step further into a business level messaging, because the salespeople and us are talking to different audiences. So sometimes when you go to a IT audience, you would want to talk about it in the context of IT. If you're going to talk to a LOB audience, you want to talk to them in the context of how it helps their business. So we need to be kind of doing that in that particular context. And then you drive from that particular point of view onto saying, okay, these are the focus areas. These are the messages that we are taking. And these are the kind of activities that we would be driving. And we bring that up in front, right? Priorities are set very clearly. What are the accounts that we want to account segments that we want to hit? How are we going to hit them? And the kind of activities that we do, some minutia that the other teams don't necessarily kind of are in the know of, like what kind of webinar, how many content syndication. That's more for us from a marketing perspective to look at and do. But where we do our things right is we constantly keep looking at, are we doing the right things? The metrics showing that we are doing the right things. What are the things that we need to swap? What are the things that we need to do differently?
I'd love to dig in a little bit on the sales, marketing, product alignment and getting to those weekly calls. Do you have weekly calls within your product marketer within all 3 functions, or do they talk to sales separately and product management separately? How do you make that relationship the most effective?
Yeah. Firstly, we started off a couple of years back. Even stepping back, right? Like I said, very lucky and happy to have good leaders in the other functions, and it's also personal connect. They're all nice people. They are good people, very business oriented, very smart, very action oriented, but they're also very nice people. So I would love to hang out with them, even outside of business, and that kind of sets the tone, the tone, right? And that way we started connecting with all of them. We were together in a planning cycle, and that helped them see that, oh yeah, marketing can actually bring some value to them. And from there on, we started having weekly meetings, bi-weekly meetings as the case may be, and we meet more than one time in a week. There is a call that all of us are in where specific topics are talked about. And we bring to the table whatever is from a marketing perspective, the priorities that we see or results of some campaigns that we've done, important ones, or upcoming activities that are going on. And we also make it fun. Last year we did an ice bucket challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with a twist, right? We said that, okay, we want to have a goal of reaching X number of views and so on. And and part of that alignment, right? Internal marketing is as important as external marketing. Because with external marketing, you can do some reach, but people may not necessarily know that we are doing all of that. One of the reasons why is because when people click onto our ads, we don't pay for IBM clicks, right? We actually don't want to do that. So people, if they're coming in from IBM domain or if they're IBM leads, we actually don't show that ad to them. So they don't even know that it's happening. But whereas they're seeing our competitors' ads, so they're like, hey, what the heck are we doing?
Yeah.
So we wanted to do some internal marketing to pump people up, to show them what we're doing and so on and so forth. And we did this challenge, and we had a tiered level of goals. At 5,000, let's say, call it views, I get dunked in ice bucket and so on and so forth. The entire leadership team participated. we actually signed up our general manager as well, but we did not hit his level. So we spared him that the agony. But it was fun because in the internal Slack community that we have, we were throwing numbers to people, and there was just a lot of engagement. People were throwing emojis out and getting engaged. Ice buckets all over the place, and we're coming up with a second challenge right now. Floss dance.
Oh my gosh.
John and my team came up with this idea of let's get this together, and if we hit a particular goal again, we'll do the floss dance. We hit our goals, so John and I unapologetically did the very horrible rendition of floss.
That's
dance.
amazing.
That's tough. I would definitely rather pour an ice bucket on my head than be seen flossing in front of anyone. In fact, on our mission offsite, Jonah, who's sitting in here in studio, came up with the idea we'll have a dunk tank next year, and that instead of like you can give like credits to all of our team at Mission, and then that's how many credits is how many balls you get to throw at the dunk tank to dunk the leadership. So
nice.
It's always good to get the leadership soaking wet and freezing cold.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not scared of anything.
We did when I was at Fox, we did something similar, and we had a commercial sales leader and a field sales leader, and if we hit a certain number, the commercial sales leader would basically pie with like a whipped cream pie in the face of the enterprise sales leader. So they hit the number, they go to do this, and Leslie, the commercial sales leader, goes to like pie Tom, who runs enterprise sales. He ducks and gets her.
Oh.
And then everyone's like, oh, and then all of a sudden the CEO runs up and nobody sees him coming, and he gets the enterprise sales leader. And this is in front of like company, all hands. It was
awesome.
That's sweet.
Hysterical. And of course we recorded the whole thing of Leslie's supposed to get Tom. Tom gets Leslie. Tom thinks he wins. Aaron gets Tom.
That's so funny.
Amazing.
We all do very hard jobs, right?
Yes.
We're all super busy. Everybody's in meetings and then working after hours because they have to get work done. We can make it fun, and it's part of the whole thing, right?
And I love what you said on how much you love the leadership team you work with. And it makes such a big difference. We are required to work 40 hours a week. It's that extra time you put in that is the difference from being able to, do perfectly fine work and do exceptional work. And the desire to really go in and like do amazing work for your peers and your team. I don't know. It's what drives me. It's what makes me work extra hours. It what gets me excited. And it's sort of how you like up performance that little extra bit because you've got that. We're in it together.
No, absolutely. And it drives the whole team,
Absolutely.
It's not just a tops down thing. I think the entire team is kind of built that way.
Yeah.
They automatically connect because they all want to solve business problems from their point of view, right? And they step in to solve that particular problem, sometimes from a content perspective, sometimes from a product perspective, sometimes from a campaign perspective. But they also reach out to the other area just in case they need the help is needed. And it pervades. That attitude is so positive and pervasive that it's awesome.
So also, quick aside, Lauren, surfing is not count towards those 40 hours.
I mean, what if I'm surfing with
The shoes
peers?
that you were
The shoes.
thinking about, was that part of that 40 hours?
Networking.
My networking. I'm totally networking on the board.
That does count. I stand fully corrected. That's a great point. That's networking. Gosh, that was my bad. And you did write a Lauren's Corner about
lessons learned from surfing.
Lessons learned from surfing. See, everything can be content. I wanted to get into what sales asks of you, because I think that's one of the parts we talk a lot about sales marketing alignment, but I'd love to learn what are those things that you get asked on a consistent basis, that are the things that you have to go back, take to your team, and try to jam on to figure out a creative way to do what they need done.
Sure. There are lots of asks, right, coming from different sales members. And therefore, it is really important to be aligned and have our priorities right with our crew of ecosystem so that you're not always chasing the next big thing to be done, but you're actually doing the right things. But having said that, It's not like, I set the strategy and I'm done and that's the only thing that I'm going to be doing, right? There are always going to be tweaks. There are always going to be new things that come up that are seen as kind of important or things of that nature. The typical things that we get asked are for content and content in varieties of forms. I would like to have a video or want to have a 2-page solution brief, or I want to have a deck that talks to this particular new release that has come out, or I want to have a comparative view that I can share with my prospect or customer because he or she is asking for it, or we are in a very comparative situation, and so on and so forth. Or it could be, hey, I want to run an event in this particular area. Can you help me out here? And so on and so forth. Right. So this is where we kind of talk about, all right, these are the things that we can do. These are the things that can be done by somebody else, or we may not be able to do this. And being aligned helps us with one more thing, to do the right things. We may not be able to do all the things that they ask for, but the things that we do, we want to ensure that we hit a very high mark on that right things category.
How do you communicate when you don't give them what they want? Because I think that's one of the tough parts is like, hey, here's the reason why we're not doing this. And having that, steady stream of communication.
That is exactly what we do, right? And the sales team also know that they won't be getting all the things that they're asking for, but we always provide them with an alternative, right? I may not be able to do an event here, but here's what I can do for you, all right? And it's a pretty open communication. We do sales focus groups all the time. There are Alia in my team and Karen. They've gone through different geographies to better understand what sales are looking for, what are the messaging that they're looking for, so that we don't sit here in Austin to build the messaging that may or may not be relevant in Australia or Japan or China or India, or even for that matter, Scandinavia, like Norway, Finland, and all that, right? So we poll people, we talk to them, we in fact co-create with some of them.
Yeah.
Which is very helpful because it makes it global and relevant.
And it gets their buy-in. If you're co-creating with sellers and with region, all of a sudden they are more excited and more likely to evangelize your messaging.
That is absolutely right. And when they do that, there's a lot more uptake.
Absolutely.
As compared to, hey, what's that marketer doing here?
They don't know what they're doing. They're not connected. They have no idea versus, no, I helped build this.
With a company as big as IBM, obviously tons of different products, tons of different stuff going on, been around for a long time. Within your specific product suite, how do you measure results across all the, across aligning all the different things that we've been talking about?
Yeah, we have the typical marketing measurements, right? The early stage and then the late stage measurements, like, number of responses, number of views, impressions, even further upstream, all the way down to, how many opportunities did we help create, and then the win rates and so on and so forth. Some of the goals are marketing sourced pipeline and marketing sourced win revenue. Also is marketing sourced contribution, right? Now, marketing source is a pretty broad term because it could be marketing created or marketing assisted to create.
Yeah.
Right. I don't necessarily differentiate between the two because in some cases the offerings are complex enough that marketing cannot in and of itself create demand or opportunities or wins on its own. Right. So we look at the overarching picture of how we do that, and then the overall contribution that we drive. Some of the early stages are really into the context of responses, but more importantly, how many of them are higher quality responses, and how many of them get passed on to sales, like our lead development reps. We call them as digital development reps.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
I like that. Do you find that when you're going to sales and product, that showing those type of things, showing that measurement goes a long way to validate the stuff that you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely helps. And also keeping them in the loop of what we are planning to do, what our goals are for specific areas, if it's a large enough area. Because many times what we do is, it's not, especially in an event, right? Complex events, we require people with expertise to come in, and it could be from people in those different areas. So we constantly keep telling them, hey, this is our goal, and here's where we are, and here's where we want to be, left to sell or left to go, and keep giving them updates on where we are at any point of time, and that excites them. Going back to that ice bucket, right? It kind of starts to build some momentum. Yeah. We share that with sales teams as well, and it kind of builds more momentum. Say, all right, I want to get my customers here, and so on and so forth. The general metrics, yes, it helps, because more than the absolute number, the relative number as to where we are now vis-a-vis where we were last year is what is more important. Because absolute number can be determined by whatever means, but like our boss says, progress is more important than perfection. And we want to continue to drive that progress week over week, month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year.
Let's get in the lightning round. Fast and easy questions.
Holy cow.
Just like marketing automation from Pardot, you can go to pardot.com/podcast to learn more about all of the amazing marketing automation stuff that we have going on. We're in the Pardot podcast booth here at Serious Decisions right now, and we're going to ask some fast and easy questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Number one, what app are you using on your phone that is the most fun?
Believe it or not, it's fun for my kid. He plays the basketball app.
Oh, that's great. Favorite vacation spot?
Mountains, any mountains.
Favorite book you're reading right now or have read recently?
The Goal is one of my favorites. And also Execution by Larry Bossidy and Ram Charan.
Do you have a favorite or marketing campaign that you're jealous of?
Lots of it. But many of them are in the B2C side, right? The one that I still remember is from the Google ad, where the entire ad was search phrases, talking about a person who is moving to France and he's looking for a house, and then he's looking for what do I get my girlfriend, and then where do I find this for my wedding, and then where do I
remember that
thing. Yeah.
It was the whole it was their entire life, and you could see their entire life progress through search. It was really, really sweet and heartwarming. And what I love that you brought that up, and it's how you put the emotion and the narrative behind something that can be perceived as transactional. And you're like, no, this is what brings you across your entire life.
Yep.
So I thought that was, yeah.
And pre-IBM, I wasn't at IBM at that time, but the Smaller Planet was a fantastic one, because it talks about how IBM was solving pretty complex problems and enabling people. And at that time I was at Dell, and we were thinking, man, they're solving awesome problems here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's so many customer stories to tell of like the things that your customers are doing. I think we forget that as marketers. Product, but there's features. What thing are you most excited about for the future of marketing?
Marketing is becoming more and more important in the context, even in the B2B space, because the attention span of people are going down dramatically. It's very close to hitting the goldfish attention span.
Yes.
All right. So the prospect of how we work with sales and product and dev to be able to attract their attention and get a win out of large accounts is something that I'm very excited about. It's either through account-based marketing, or it could be extremely personalized and account-based marketing. Those are the kind of stuff I'm super excited about.
What question do you wish we would have asked you?
This is not part of the lightning round. What's my favorite sport?
What is your favorite sport?
Cricket.
Yeah. What's your favorite team?
So I'm from India. So cricket is a religion in India. And the World Cup is coming right now. It's going to be held in London, or in England. And we're all super excited about the prospect of hopefully India winning that. But other than that, there are multiple local teams, very similar to the NBA. They have something called IPL, Indian Premier League. My favorite team is CSK, Chennai Super Kings. My man Dhoni, our former Indian captain, is part of that. Captain Cool, as he's called. Somebody that I hope someday I would emulate.
Yeah.
Is awesome. He never shows emotions.
Oh, that's sweet.
Any kind of situation, he doesn't care. It'll be like a straight face guy. You can always depend on him to win the game, because till the very last minute, he's just calm and cool and collected.
I'm like, that was never me. Way too much emotion.
And here, I'm starting to re-love basketball thanks to my son, who's big into basketball right now. He loves the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, me too. Go Dubs.
I love the Dallas Mavericks. So we have a little bit of an interesting matchup at home.
I like the sort of house rivalry between the
That's
Mavericks
right.
and the Warriors.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, anything else? Any stuff to plug? Anything our listeners should check out?
No, thank you very much. This is very helpful. Very excited to be here and talking to you guys. And for all the folks who are listening, get aligned with your salespeople and your internal teams, product marketing, and even dev if you can, because when you're aligned, you can go really far. Just to plug that back in, alone you can go fast. Together you can go far. And we all want to go far. We all want to, as a marketing community, grow. It's not just some of us. It's marketing as a whole needs to be become more and more important, and needs to be seen as being very important to the overall scheme of things. Get aligned and let's get it done.
Awesome.
Have fun and get it done. Thanks so much.
Fun and get it done.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Marketing Trends. Marketing Trends is created by the team at Mission.org and sponsored by Salesforce Pardot. World-class marketers use Pardot to generate and nurture leads, close more deals, and maximize ROI at every stage of the sales cycle. Empower your marketing team to become revenue-generating superheroes, and let Pardot's data analysis keep an eye on the bottom line. Learn more by visiting pardot.com/podcast or click on the link in the show notes.